Welcome to the Co-Host Bros Podcast, where we break down everything short-term rentals, entrepreneurship, and building a profitable hospitality business. Whether you're a host, investor, or property manager, we share real strategies, real insights, and real experiences to help you scale smarter and grow faster. Let's dive in.
Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 111, and there's not many things to rhyme with that, only about 7. My name is Matt Codd, and I'm here with Austin Spitzenberger. We are the Co-Host Bros podcast. If you like the show, you enjoy the show, you rate the show, you think I'm funny, share it, do whatever you got to do. Today, we have Michelle Marquis. Marquis, you said right? Like the diamond,
Marquis,
she said?
Marquis like the diamond, or the royalty. Marquis like the royalty.
I did it. So, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. Great to see you both.
Yeah, not a bad intro there, Matt. Like not too bad, not too great. You could have said her name with a little bit more confidence. I think you stumbled through it. So just some things to work on your end. No, I'm just kidding. Super excited to have you here, Michelle. I don't know. I always start off with the easy question just to kind of get things going. Based on you and your story, what is a little bit about your background, maybe how you got into space, and maybe what it is you're doing today.
Yeah, great. I tell people I've been doing this for more years than I'm going to admit on this podcast or any place else, but I've been doing this a long time. And I started as a property manager. And the thing is that because I had a hotel background and I was a hotelier at heart, and I started working for a vacation rental company, I didn't know the things. I didn't know there were rules. I didn't know you couldn't adjust rates. I didn't know that you couldn't do distribution. And when I say this was a long time ago, and before Airbnb and VRBO were even a thought inside of anybody's mind. And so I was doing distribution on Expedia. I was doing revenue management manually. I was tracking things in a pacing book, literally in an Excel spreadsheet that I would put it, how much business was on the books for pace. And I was there for 12 years. And so I had that data for 12 years. So I'd go back to look at how much was on the books for future years or for future weeks when I was looking at rates to adjust rates manually up and down. So, I've been doing this a long time. And about call it 20 years ago, I left being a vacation rental manager and started working for a technology company on the vacation rental side. And it was a company called Navis. And anybody's been around a while will know who Navis is. They were kind of the first CRM, the first, we started talking about direct bookings at the very beginning because they were all about direct bookings. And I helped them exit. They exited at about 85 million. Then I had a non-compete. So for 3 years, I kind of worked here and there and did the things I could do within my non-compete. When that was up, started working for a company called TravelNet Solutions. And I was there, and again, another exit, nice, healthy, north of a $250 million exit on that one. Again, had a 3-year non-compete. But this time I decided to start my own business. And so my own business and that's what I do now, is I work with suppliers and I work with property managers, and it's all around revenue generating things. So with a property manager, I have 3 different clients right now. Two that I'm a fractional marketing officer. So that means I look at everything sales and marketing related and help them strategically do things differently in their business. But I also work with suppliers. So I'm a brand ambassador for Guesty. I'm a brand ambassador for Price Labs. But I also started a new, it's not really a business, but it's a new thing called the Shortlist. And they're technologies that I believe are kind of no-brainers. So I'm also supporting those companies and talking to property managers about those companies. So I've seen the gamut from no distribution to where, co-hosts, many of them started out just with Airbnb. That's all they did was Airbnb, and they co-hosted Airbnb. And the VRBO or any sort of direct booking goals was secondary to Airbnb. And so that's been super interesting to watch in general how that has evolved too. So that's kind of how I got here, what I'm doing now, kind of catches you up to speed, I think.
Oh, that was a great info. What was your or what's the name of your business now? And is it, if I'm getting this right based on what you said, the business now is offering fractional CMO services, or is that just something you do on the side? Or just give me a little bit briefly
Yeah, yeah.
about
So
that.
I'm a fractional executive, but that also means I work on projects. So it could be CMO, it could be CSO, it could just be like I have a client. She has 83 units, or maybe she's up to 90 units now, and she's having a hard time getting to her next growth stage. So for her, I am literally looking at every area of her business, and we organized it by priority. And the first thing was, like she needs to get the everyday operational things off of her plate. So we looked at all of the things that she works on. We looked at all the things that people that work for her work on and we looked at automation. We looked at the distribution. We looked at reviews. We looked at a whole lot of different things that she could be doing differently. And that's phase one. Phase two, we'll go into distribution. Phase three, we're going to go into now homeowner acquisition. How does she grow that business? So, really, if there is a property manager or a supplier that says, man, oh man, oh man, I wish I had the answers to the test. I have the answers to the test. And it's not because I worked in a PMS yesterday, but it's because I helped 3 clients move from one PMS to another and evaluate PMSs in the last year, which gives me a whole lot of experience. And so I have a lot of those answers to the test. So that's kind of how I'm helping companies.
Yeah, no, so that makes sense. So almost like not necessarily putting you into a box of like you do fractional CMO stuff. You can come into someone's business at almost any stage and say, put a plan together almost as like a consultant within this industry and be like, hey, these are the things that I would implement, and you help um, people, I guess, maybe fix things within their business or help them get to the next level. I'm just trying to think of people that are listening to the show right now. If they're, listening, like, okay, how can I see you coming into my business and help? So the way I see is kind of you're just a consultant that can help people get to the next level.
Yeah, yeah. And, the thing is that hiring consultants are generally like like the word consultant, they come in, they have an outside perspective, they give you a plan, and then it's up to you to execute. Well, what happens is a lot of times the execution doesn't happen. So I actually help make sure and follow along that things are getting executed. And, there are, like this client, I'm using it as an example. There are areas of the business we never even talked about that as I started working with her, I'm like, wow, your website, super thin. You don't have any authority on the website. You don't have a Google listing page. Those are things that we never talked about originally because she was just trying to get some of the busy work off of her plate. And we were talking about that. So, I really do act as, I give mind share to those companies so that I'm thinking about their business like I was an employee. And I have been accused of stepping on toes because they hire me for one thing and I go, you know what, if you look over there, do you see that thing over there in the corner? That really should be taken care of too. And so I typically try to dive in deep and get really involved. And, for any of the listeners that are on there, like I'm not looking to build a gigantic business, like I'm not even like right now looking for new clients necessarily, because quality of life is super important to me as well. And I don't work with everybody. I work with a few that I choose. And like this client I'm using as an example, I told her straight up, I'm not looking to put together a plan for you that you then put on the shelf and go, that's cool. I need to know that you're actually going to adopt these things and you're going to allow me to hold you accountable for the things that we agree are the most important things to get done. So when we have one-to-ones, I'm in there going, did this get adopted? Did we write an SOP about it? Is everybody following things the way that we agreed? That, I hold them accountable, which could be uncomfortable for somebody that is an entrepreneur that start their business going, I want to be my own boss. And then you have a consultant or a fractional executive come in and give you their opinions and kind of push you to do things that make you a little bit uncomfortable. But that's also part of my success, I think, is that people know I'm going to tell them the truth.
Yeah. I think it's hard to hold yourself accountable too when you're just doing it on your own, right? So it's like you need somebody to help hold you accountable
Yeah.
in one way or another.
Well, and sometimes you don't even know what that means, right? Because, like a lot of your listeners, they might have 3 homes and they accidentally, and this is actually how this client that I'm talking about that has almost 90 now, they started out with, they had 6 of their own homes. And then somebody asked them to manage a friend's and then somebody else. And all of a sudden now they have 90 and they're like, whoa, 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 whoa. I don't have a life. We're on 24/7. My hair's on fire. And I don't know if we're going to either need to scale back to have this business so it can be profitable, or we need to scale up. And what does that mean? And then someone saying, this is what that means. It means that you can't continue to do business like you've always done business. And that can get uncomfortable.
Yeah. So, out of all the experience that you have and all the times that you spent with other property managers and even being one yourself, what's the number one problem that most property managers don't know that they have?
Ooh, that's a really good question.
Zinger! No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I would even say it's that they don't know they need to get out of their own way. They feel like everything they're working on is they focus on the emergencies rather than the important things. And they don't even realize they're doing it. They don't even realize they're doing it. So being able to work on your business instead of in it and kind of taking a step back, that's probably the biggest lesson anybody can do, no matter what. That, frankly, whether you're at 5 homes or 50 homes or 100 homes or 500 homes, every once in a while you need to take a step back and like get some outside perspective on your business, because otherwise you're in there breathing your own ether all the time.
Yeah.
Good question.
Did you have one for a second, Austin? I do have more questions, but you
No,
moved
go
your
for
mouth,
it.
Austin.
No, go for
okay.
it.
I was gonna. I mean, I came up with another one when you said that. So, at what point should somebody who's building a property management company actually step back and try to be in the business? Is it like 1 listing, 5 listings, 10 listings? Like, is there a certain point in time to where they should do that, or a certain process they should do to be able to get into the, more of the CEO type mindset when it comes to business?
I don't think it's size as much as what they want in the business, right? What do they want in the business? Do they want this to be something that they're going to do along with their main job? And it's this side thing and that's what they want? Great, knock yourselves out. Well, you're in that sort of situation. You're probably not going to take a step back and go, what does it look like to scale to 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 or 100 and, or 200? What does it look like to have gosh, I hate to even say it, like a real business, because someone that has even 1 vacation rental, that's a real business. But when you start to say, I'm going to quit my day job and do this full time, that's probably the time to make sure you're doing it right.
Yeah. Is there a certain size or unit count you see where the solo operator is just like going crazy and needs to hire and outsource and start building a real business? Because in reality, if you're starting from scratch, I mean, you have to do everything yourself in the beginning. And there's a certain listing count, I feel like, where it hits you where it's like, hey, I need to make my first hire. I need to hire an operations manager so that I'm not the person running around putting out all these fires 24/7. So I can actually, like you said, work on my business versus in my business. So when do you see that? Is it a different threshold per person? Or I guess, when do you think that somebody should maybe make their first hire? And what does what does that hire look like?
Yeah. Well, the truth is you probably can't afford to hire full-time people under probably 50 units. And when I say full-time people, even 1 full-time person, you probably can't afford to do that. So you have to look at other ways. You have to look at, like, thank God for AI, right? How much can AI come in and automate things you're doing so that you don't have to apply more bodies? And, it even, it allows you to multiply the bodies that you do have, because now maybe I'm making this up. You have 50 units, you bring somebody on full time, and part of the time they're working on things that can't be automated, but the other time they're doing added things. Like there was just an article on LinkedIn about somebody saying they go into every room and they turn the lights on, they turn the music on, they open all the drapes, and other people on there going, I don't have time to do that. Well, of course you don't have time to do that, but is there, if you could take off some of the things that are repeatable processes that AI could handle, does that free up time? Does that free up time even to do things like more homeowner acquisition? I had a client one time that said, I am so busy taking care of the day-to-day operations. I know I need to send out a homeowner email, and I know I need to do some homeowner prospecting, but I just don't have the time. And I was like, well, what's taking up your time? And as we start talking about it, we find out there are things that are low brain expenditures. They are responding to emails. What's the Wi-Fi code? What time is check-in? Can I get in early? Those are all things that can be automated now. And even you can make revenue off a lot of those things. But what things can you not work on? And as you get bigger, what things are you working on as a leader that other people should be working on, so that you're only working on the things that are most valuable to the company? But I believe every step in growth, you have I'm sure there's a formula that I don't know. Simon Lehman even tried to put together, at 50 units, this is how many employees, at 100 units, and he started naming them, the different categories. And I don't know if it's right or not, but there should be some sort of formula that says at 50, this is what your organization looks like. At 100, this is what your organization looks like. And, I know that one of the things I do, I'm on the VRMA conference content committee, which is, I don't know if your audience or you guys know about Vacation Rental Managers Association, but they have an annual conference, and I am the content chair for the conference. One of the sessions is going to be talking about, at 50 units, what should your organization look like, and what should you be thinking about? At 100 units, what should you be looking about? And it kind of goes up from there.
Yeah. Yeah, we do know about VRMA. We had Tara on.
That's VR Nation.
I think she's on VR Nation. Oh, I'm sorry. I got mixed up.
No, it's okay. It's easy to do. There's a lot of them.
Too many VRs. Yeah. But I do know about VRMA regardless. So a couple things. So you're talking about like growth, and sometimes you advise people on how to grow and things like that. So what kind of advice could you give somebody who's trying to grow their company?
Well, let's start with like someone that's 5 units and is a co-host, or only listing on Airbnb. Get a website built, get some direct bookings. I met with a client. This is probably 18 months ago now, but at the time they had 150 units and they were using a small, very basic PMS. No website at all. So no direct business, 100% Airbnb, no VRBO. They were just starting to get into VRBO. Well, now, a year and a half later, they're at almost 500 units. They invested in a real PMS. They invested in Guesty. They built a website. They adopted AI automation. He at one point had like 5 guest services people. Now he's backed that off to having 1 guest services person, and that person kind of manages his AI agents. So I don't know if I answered your exact question, but did I answer your question? Close
No,
enough?
I mean, yeah, no, I mean, basically streamline it, and yeah, AI agents are crazy.
Yeah. And start with a good PMS.
Yeah.
Start there. Then look at AI automation and what it can do, and when you have a good PMS, then you can look at distribution strategies. So, distribution to me is not just Airbnb and VRBO. Distribution to me is direct bookings on your website. It is direct bookings over voice or email or text. It is bookings that come to your website from social media. It is the different OTAs, which Airbnb and VRBO are the 2 main ones. But for example, booking.com has probably the largest growth as any third-party OTA has had in the last couple of years. And I've always looked at VRBO and Airbnb are table stakes, right? They're already selling vacation rentals, right? So they're not going to bring you new business unless you've never been there before, but they're not going to bring you new business. Those are vacation rental guests. But when you look at booking.com, those are hotel guests. Those are new eyeballs that you're trying to convert into vacation rental guests. So once you have a good solid property management system, you can look at distribution much differently than you can when you're on a smaller PMS, or frankly, with, like I have a girlfriend of mine that has 3 units and she doesn't use a software to manage it. She just hopes that they don't book over each other, and she manages it if it does. I'm sure there's a lot of Airbnb managers out there doing just that.
That's
Yeah,
crazy to me.
you could maybe do that with 3 listings. Even at that, it still kind of stresses me out. But yeah, not at 10 or 15, or I don't know. Even that's still a risk for error at 3 listings.
Yeah, well, I think so, but she manages it because she's like, well, I'm not going to spend $100 per unit, and she doesn't have a direct website, so she's relying on Airbnb and VRBO. But I know there's a lot of managers that manage like that, and like for her, this is a side business to what she does. She
Yeah,
invests in real estate, and she does long-term rentals in her real estate. She has some short-term real estate, and it's all a side business. It's not a main business, nor does she ever want it to be a main business.
yeah. I think even at 3 listings, like you don't really need to you don't need to invest in direct bookings. You don't need to everything on Airbnb, VRBO, and if you're on booking.com for 3 listings in itself is essentially good enough. I mean, I would say she needed maybe like a hospitable or some kind of channel manager or something that's very simple,
Yeah,
probably not a guesty, which we can talk about guesty here in a little bit. But I mean, some kind of channel manager would be nice. But I mean, in today's day and age, exactly what you said, 3 listings can be a side hustle, because when you were doing this, years and years back, you didn't have the ease of just creating an Airbnb listing and creating a VRBO listing and having, just getting 100% of your distribution from there, and people can do that and make good money doing that, right?
yeah, yeah. So in that comes back to, what does somebody want in their business as they look, like if they want a side hustle and an easy side hustle, that's one thing, right? But if they want growth, whatever that looks like, whether it's to change the side hustle into a part-time gig or a full-time gig, that's when things start to change, because you can't get all your bookings just from Airbnb and booking.com. You then have to expand your distribution and look at, even the niche markets, Google Vacation Rentals. You can't get to Google Vacation Rentals if you don't have a channel manager.
Yeah.
You've got to look at doing other things.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
as a guesty user and you as a guesty affiliate, how do you, if I didn't say that right, I apologize, but if
That's
how do you we messaged something like on LinkedIn, and you mentioned something about AI agents and guesty, or if anybody's using this that is listening to guesty or has considered guesty as a platform for management, talk about maybe some of the agent features you mentioned or some of the stuff coming out, because I don't know if I'm even using it to the best of its capabilities. And that's kind of part of
Yeah,
the reason I wanted to have you on there, on here to ask you that question as well.
yeah. Well, the Guesty AI agents are only new as of June, so you're probably not using them, and they only became GA July 1st. So you're probably not, and that's okay. You've got plenty of time. But this is how I look at AI overall. You have your PMS, and the PMS is, is Guesty calls it the engine inside, but it really is. It is the engine that sits inside that manages all of your reservations, your payments, your guest communication, right? And then AI is the communication piece to everybody outside of the PMS. And if even with Guesty, you could use Conduit or Bestie AI or Enzo. You could use one of those other systems to attach on. But the agents and the data that with Guesty, the way that they do it is they use what is now, I don't know, they have 500,000 listings and 13 years worth of data that they've been training these agents on. And so they floated across 6 different areas of the property management operation. So, and I'm not even going to get this right, but revenue, operations, guest services, homeowner acquisition and homeowner communication, finance. And then each one of those disciplines have agents that do specific jobs. So, the one that is a no-brainer that everybody should adopt is, Gessie calls it Reply AI, but it is basically getting in the middle between a guest and inquiries into the property. That is Wi-Fi code, check-in time, all of the things that you organize in your property management business to be like, oh my gosh, we give them all of the information before they ever check in. Do they not ever read an email? And which is, when I lived in Hawaii, we used to joke that people would come on vacation and leave their brain at home. And it's really true, especially now, because they're getting emails from us, they're getting texts from us, and they're trying to remember, or they're booked on a platform. So they're trying to remember where they go for the communication and who told them what. A perfect example, I just booked on Hip Camp to do an RV camping trip. And I got the confirmation and I couldn't easily find the address. So I sent them a message and I said, what's the address? And, they responded back to give me the address. But the truth is, when I went back and looked again, it was there. But somebody had to take the time to go in and respond to me on the address. That's something that can be automated through AI like that. So that takes the human involvement out of, that takes the human involvement over the simple things. And, I was talking about the client that has had all the growth and how they let some of their agents go. They went in a year from having no guest communications at all, just having a team running, to having a team of 4 back down to a team of 1. So in his scenario, he saved money, but in other scenarios, you can use those people to do other things that are high touch, high guests, like high value to guests, like pick up the phone after they've checked in, have an automation that tells you that they've used the lock code and they checked in. Have someone pick up a phone and say, hey, Austin, I just want to make sure that you got into the unit okay and that everything looks good for you and you don't have any questions for me. Welcome to Michelle's vacation rental. And Austin's like, well, wow, that's really cool. No, I don't need anything, but now the door's open for anything you could need.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. We had Jack Zappa on here with Haven Vacation Rentals out in the Smoky Mountains, and he basically, I like the way he phrases it, and he's kind of like, our goal is not to get a smaller team or reduce our expenses. Like maybe that'll come from it, but it's more just to free up the mundane and allow people. He refers to it as hospitality output, and he's like, it's more for our team to focus on hospitality output instead of being behind the computer and messaging somebody back and saying, here's the Wi-Fi passcode.
That's
So
right.
I really like the way he explained that. And then I guess for us, we've tried some of the AI services for guest comms, and really the people that were doing the guest comms ended up giving back to us and be like, hey, can we turn that off and we can go back to doing it our way? Which I think the AI services had some things that were good about it, but they had some things that weren't there yet. So I'm at a point where my personal position is that we need people to be behind the guest comms because it's a hospitality business. So I think that's very important. This is obviously just my personal opinion. Maybe
Yeah,
somebody runs
yeah.
their entire business on just AI software. I mean, and maybe they have very, very low cost to operate. But the point that I want to make is that like there are some things that yes, they need that personal touch, and then also like, but there's some things like I'm torn because like you said, the Wi-Fi password that could be automated, pulling stuff from the listing that could be automated, scraping your computer and your operations of how this thing works that you have documented could be automated. So I don't know. That's just kind of my opinion where I'm like, I'm torn between having AI completely do guest communications, but also the people doing guest communications are answering questions. It's like, that would
Yeah.
be better if AI answered it. So my question, I guess, was Reply AI and Guesty. Was it more of like full service, we message everything, or is it like, hey, we can take off like we can answer 40% of questions related to this stuff? Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, you can decide. You can decide and set thresholds on how much is automated versus how much you don't want automated. And that what you just said is exactly correct. Some companies are going, no, that's a piece I don't want to ever give up. I want that. I want someone from my team having a personal connection. But, I'll give you an example. I recently was on I can't remember what kind of business I called. I wish I could remember what it was, but they had an AI voice agent. Her name was Nicole, and her dialect, and like, you would never have known that it was a virtual agent that helped me all the way through my process, which was pretty detailed till she couldn't help me anymore. And even the way she talked to me, she had in my head, I had, this is a 29-year-old, young woman that's smart, professional. That's who I had in my head. But it was a freaking virtual agent and helped me all the way through this long process. And I think it was even something medically related. And, so I mean, there is going to become a time where more and more of this can be automated. And then using it to cover the edge of, you can't hire everybody to do everything. So what are those things that are the lowest hanging fruit, that are the simplest to do, that could be covered through some sort of AI? I'll give you another example. And I don't know what it's called in Guesty, and I'm their brand ambassador, but I'm not in sales for them. I promote what the things that I think they do really well. I promote them and I talk about them. But one of the things they have is an agent that actually goes in and reconciles your bank statement. So it reconciles all of the charges that are in Guesty versus what is on the bank statement. And then it reconciles and says, all of this is good. And then it shows up and it says, these 4 look weird. You should check on these 4. So then the property manager goes in and just adjusts those 4, or looks for what needs to be actually manually reconciled. That's an example of another way that AI could help, that will have, let's have the humans work on human things that are harder things to solve, that are higher touch, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. Yeah. I mean, that's awesome that you were on the phone and you were booking a thing with the AI agent. I just built my own AI agent that answers my phone as well and answers text. I was showing Austin after we did last show, we were talking about it. And I'm like, oh, what's this? What's how do I work the thermostat? And it's like, oh, this house has an Ecobee. You got to do this, this, and this. I don't use the PMSs or somebody else's. I built my own. So yeah. I created my own web app to be able to create my brain for each property. So as I add a property, I can just create the brain. It takes me about 10 minutes, as long as I have the information. So yeah, it's pretty sweet. I do actually, since we're talking about that, I do want to know what you meant by direct bookings via voice and text. And is that something you're automating with AI?
Not currently, but vacation rentals are what I call high consideration. Okay. And high consideration to me is anything that is important, complicated, or expensive. And vacation rentals automatically have more voice related inquiries because of those things. I'm not calling a Marriott because I need a double room. I'm looking at this home and I'm wanting to know how far it is from the beach. And I'm wanting to know, I'm bringing my granddaughter and I want to make sure that there's a fence all the way around the pool. And does the pool heat once or is it every day? I have questions about it because, again, it's expensive, it's complicated, and it's important. So when I say direct and I'm talking about voice, I'm just talking about applying and putting the same sort of investment as you would on other ways that you get bookings on the voice part of reservations. Because I even think, somebody who comes off just using Airbnb and VRBO, they're not used to a direct booking with a phone call. So it's an afterthought. And I think it could increase somebody's bookings 30% if you've never done it before.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy to me too. You're saying you talk to somebody at a bunch of properties only on Airbnb. That, to me, that's nuts. And what you said about booking.com is totally true. There's so many people who don't want to get on booking.com because it's a pain in the ass to create a listing. It really is. Unless you're, PMS is API connected, but it's starting to pick up. I mean, people are like, oh yeah, blah, blah. I've had properties that sat on booking.com for over a year, never got a booking, and just start getting bookings from booking.com just like all the time. So it's like, it's an interesting process. And I think the problem is that people are worried about it because it's not smooth like Airbnb is smooth, but VRBO isn't smooth like Airbnb is smooth either. So it's like, no matter what you do, I mean, you're still going to have a problem with no matter what you do. It's just, you got to set it up right. And I think that's a good point on the booking.com's growth for sure.
Yeah. Well, and there's another website company called savvy.com.
Oh yeah.
And he's doing great things. And, I think he charges 5%, but it comes directly to your website. And, he only makes it if they book from, let me back up. If they click through and they book on your website, you don't pay for that. But if you book on his website, he gets 5% commission. So really, and if they go to your website and they pick up the phone, he doesn't make any money off that either. So the 5% effectively is probably half of that if you really look at everything you're getting. And, that's a pretty low acquisition cost.
Yeah, and I think we had him on here, didn't we?
Yeah. Yeah. Eric out of Austin, Eric Goldreyer with Savvy, right? That's what you're talking about. The direct booking platform where it's basically an OTA that drives it to the property manager's website.
That's right.
Yeah, we had him on there.
Yeah, no, that's so cool. Like it's the coolest thing, and I think it's the most important thing, and I really hope it takes off, and I think it will. Just bringing power back to the property managers is just crazy with everything going on and how these OTAs are managed. And yeah, I mean, shout out to the Savvy booking platform. That's awesome.
Episode 74.
Episode 74. There you go.
There you go. Well, the way I look at revenue and how to drive revenue is that there's three ways to drive revenue for a property manager. There's just three. Okay, that's it. And it is either more eyeballs on your property, so more people considering it, more conversions, or higher stay value. That's it. So when you're being strategic about how you're looking at it, you're going to go, okay, how do I get more eyeballs? What are all the different ways I can get more eyeballs? So that is more distribution sites. That's a direct website that works well. That is like, I don't know, have you guys ever heard of Bookings Cloud? Bookings Cloud is a meta advertising platform. When you think
keep emailing me. Actually, yeah, I have. I was like, yeah, they keep emailing me. So that's one of the people that their sales rep or whatever is always in my inboxes, and I'm just like, sounds legit. I just never read them.
Yeah, well, and when they started out, they had the way they did their fees. I didn't love it. Now they have a platform fee of $250 plus whatever you pay in meta advertising. But that would just be another example of how do you get more eyeballs on your property, right? So when you're thinking strategically, you want to go, what are all the options for eyeballs? And then you go, okay, they're on the website. How many am I converting on the website? And then you say, how do I convert more of those? So there's another product that's called Direct Booking Tools. Have you heard of them? Okay, you guys got to go check out Direct Booking Tools. It is like, I call it, it's on my short list. I have 6 technology companies that I consider no-brainers. Direct Booking Tools is one of those, but it basically shows on the website when somebody is on there and they see what the total cost is, a little window pops up and it says Airbnb, like let's just say it's $1,200 to book a unit on your website. It'll say Airbnb is $1,375 and VRBO is $1,425. So you're getting the best deal here. And frankly, what they charge people to do it, I can't remember their fees, but it is again a no-brainer. But that increases conversion. So like I put that, any client that I work with, I put that on their websites, and I've seen as much as a 300% increase in conversion. So again, that is back to more eyeballs. Once they get to the website, how do you convert more of them? What are you doing to get people to book with you while they're on your website? Because if you just think about this, if you have a conversion rate of 0.3%, that means 97% of the visitors that hit your website never book with you. So another thing you should do is have a shopping cart abandonment tool that catches their information when in their shopping process, and then send an email out to that person that says, hey, you left something in your shopping cart. And I've seen clients that make hundreds of thousands of dollars from doing that. So that's getting into increasing conversion. And then the third thing is, and this is data that I've seen through and through, direct bookings stay value is higher than distribution or online bookings. So when they make a voice reservation, the stay value is actually higher. So keep that in mind when you're answering the call, is that they're going to spend more money with you when they have you on the phone than any other channel. So those are the three ways I talk, like when we're saying, how do we get more money for your business? We go, okay, what are we doing for eyeballs? What are we doing for conversion? What are we doing for stay value?
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I think Matt and I probably have the same question because I just been doing this a long enough time with him to know. But no, you mentioned six companies. You say six companies that you're highly recommended. You mentioned a few along the way. Do you have those six like memorized just for like the people that are listening? And kind of because I like the booking tools idea. I wrote that down. It's probably somebody we need to have on our podcast. So maybe we can get somebody from their company to come on and talk about that. And I think Guesty and Price Labs were your two.
Yeah.
If you want to just go
So,
through the six, you let me know
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
what it
So
looks like.
I, you know, so when I work with clients, including when I was in sales, when I was working for Track or I was working for any other company I've ever worked for, my goal has always been is to help the client where they are, including if it means recommending something that that doesn't have anything to do with me. And so I have always in my head kind of had this running list of things that I looked as no-brainers. So when I decided, you know what, I've been recommending these companies forever, I'm gonna monetize this. And I say it on the website flat out. I recommend, they're paying me to be on my short list. That's what I call it. But when I started doing the research and building out the business plan, Claude is giving me all these ideas, these catchy things. And I'm like, this is just a short list. This is just a list of people that I think do things better than most. And what they charge is less than the value that they give. That's the bottom line. And so I mentioned Price Labs, I believe, is one. I think Guesty and what they're doing with their AI is it's changing the rules. Frankly, they have an unfair advantage, is the way I look at it and the way I talk about it. And then I mentioned direct booking tools. I mentioned booking clouds. Another one is a company called Riva, and Riva is a review management platform. And so reviews, this is another piece of data. The higher your reviews are, the higher you can get an ADR and the higher your pricing can be. There's just a math problem that says that if you have 5.0s, you can charge more than if you have a 3.7. That's just the bottom line.
Who's the guy? Who's the guy behind that brand? What's his name?
Adam is their brand ambassador.
Okay, I listened to that's what I thought was because they reached out to us too, and I haven't done anything or set up a call. But I listened to their podcast. Their podcast is really good.
Yeah,
I listen to that one at least a couple times a week. They do a good job. So shout
they
out to
do a
Adam.
good job. I've been on their podcast a couple of times. They're good, smart guys. They're
Smart
actually
guys.
they're very similar to what you guys are doing. They're not real orchestrated. They've got a few things they do, but it's more casual conversations and no fluff, real stuff, no BS, real stuff.
Great show. They're not as bro as us though. That's for sure. But
I'm gonna steal that line from when we do a new intro.
Yeah, but they're intelligent guys. Like the show's really good. So shout out to those guys because I listen to it weekly.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But
sorry,
so
I just thought of that and I was like, it sounds like them. Okay, yeah, my bad. Sorry for the disrupt your flow there.
Okay. Riva is like, when I saw their demo and I put this in at a client of mine, Abode Luxury Rentals. When I saw their demo, I was just like, and they told me how much they charge. I was like, you're freaking kidding me. How are you guys going to make any money? And they said, well, we're hoping that down the road, we're going to develop other products and we're going to have an audience that already believes in the products we have, so they'll buy other things. So it's kind of their loss leader, but it is so good, so good, so good. And then the last one is a company called Rentals, but their products are called Z Point. And the products that I love the most that they do is called Contact Point and Owner Point. And really what they are is they are a CRM for homeowner acquisition. And they also are like, they charge almost nothing for their technology, because their goal is that you're going to buy not just one or two, but 3 or 4 of their platforms. And that overall the value is big enough that the deal size gets bigger, frankly. But Contact Point allows you now, if you have 5 homes, you're probably not going to get a CRM to manage your pipeline for your homeowner acquisition. But as soon as you are not the one doing homeowner acquisition, you need a CRM to manage what your people are doing, because you want to know what you need to treat it like a true salesperson and a sales role, and have a job description and have a comp plan and have expectations and manage pipeline and know where deals are in the different stages. And I think they charge something like $300 a month. It's just, again, it's a no-brainer type of thing.
Yeah, no, I did a demo with OwnerPoint, and the problem, it wasn't any problem with them. Like what they do is perfect for what works for our industry. The problem is I've discovered them a year after I built most of this out myself. So
Ah,
we have this, we basically do what they do. Probably they probably do it a little bit better, and they have some more features, like with the booklets they send out, or the brochures they have it way more dialed. But we spent like a year doing this before we discovered them. So if I could go back in time, I would have just used them. Like if I was in the beginning of building out a sales process, I would have just used them. But we already got the messages, we already have the skip tracing to find the owner contact information, we have
yeah,
somebody that works on that, we send out the emails, and then we're adding the postcard element to our sales process. So like 80% they're doing it in-house, but they are really good. And I haven't had them on the show either, but I wrote down all 4 of those outside of Guesty and Price Labs for people that we need to have on the show. But to your point, yeah, that when they were doing the demo, I was like, this is awesome. I wish I would have seen this a year ago, because I would have just signed
yeah.
up and never did all the stuff that we've been building out
Yeah,
myself.
once you're already baked into a whole system, and people are white labeling high, like his system is white labeling high level. That's what
That's
he's
what we
white
use.
labeling. But
We
okay, so you built it all on top of go high level. So I mean, how much it took to build that out.
Don't do it.
Like you
Just don't
said.
do it. Look, I would tell everybody not to do it and just go sign up with them and just pay them whatever it costs, because even at a year of doing it ourselves, it's pretty good and we're signing clients because of it. But it's not as good as they would do it still. Maybe it's just ego at this point that we've gone this far that I'm just like, I'm not going back because what we have works. But yeah, we got to get them on the podcast too, because a lot of listeners, especially in the frame of listeners that are listening to our show, 0 to 50-ish listings, let's just say, maybe some more, word of mouth and letting everybody know what you're doing, like that works in the beginning, but it almost has an expiration date. And then you have to really build out some kind of sales process, because you're going to start losing more properties than you're able to sign. But you have to kind of offload that. But yeah, a lot of those, I help people on Facebook, and that's how I got clients. And the referrals are great. All this stuff is great, but you just reach a point where you're like, hey, you have to get more touches, and you've got to actually start marketing to people. So yeah, they seem great for that, but never used them.
Yeah, yeah, no, they're good. So those are the 6, and the website is shortliststr.com. If anybody ever wants to go and look at the 6 that I consider no brainers, and I don't have Guesty as a PMS on there, and the only reason I don't, well, it's a big reason, is that switching a PMS is not a no brainer. Switching a PMS is like one of the hardest things you'll do. And it's not just something that like somebody like should just, because I tell them that Guesty I think is the best PMS, that they should just sign up. They need to really look at their business, and they need to look at the things they need and evaluate the right way, because switching PMSs is like having a lobotomy.
Yeah, if I had to bet, and I'm not an expert I've used a couple other ones, and I don't know, we like Guesty, we're happy with it. Just my general intuition, if like I had to bet on a long term management PMS to be around for the long haul. I mean, I like hospitable maybe for some of the stuff, but I think just for PMS with long term, I think the one that I think would be around and stand the test of time is going to be Guesty. I think they just
Yeah.
have they've got it. They've got it all. No PMS is perfect. Every PMS is going to have something that sucks and something that's good. And then when you switch to the next one, it's going to be flip flopped. You're going to solve your problem, but what used to work didn't work anymore. And to me, like people can say what they want about Guesty, but I just feel like it from my limited use on it, I don't use it very much within our business, but it seems like yeah, it has its things that get goofed every now and then, but overall, big picture, I think definitely the solution for us, and I think it'll be around long term.
Yeah, when I was trying to decide, when I started my own business, and the non-compete I had was specific to PMSs, so I couldn't go work alongside any other PMS until July of last year, just about a year ago. And so when I was looking at who will I align myself with, I didn't just join Guesty. I looked, I looked at who I not only looked, I put a whole bunch of homework and time into chat at the time. I was using chat back then, not Claude. And I put everything in there that I knew about every system. I put pros and cons, I put feature lists, and, Claude helped me, or chat helped me, summarize in the end what they thought the best one was going to be around. And I agreed with it. And so that's when I partnered with Guesty.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, we have zero non-competes sponsors, so come our way. Um, so, is there like one thing or one system or process that you think that all property managers should implement? I mean, we kind of touched on it in a way, but maybe trying to dig a little more out of you.
Yeah. Um, I probably any size is run your brain through the 3 ways to get more revenue. That's probably what I would say. What are the 3 ways to get more revenue? And no matter what size you are, look at those 3 things. How do I get more eyeballs? How do I convert more people? And how do I get the stay value up? Because those are the only 3 ways outside of getting more homeowners, right? More homeowners would be another way to get more revenue. But just because you add a home, if you've got, let's say you're getting $50,000 from one homeowner and now you get 5 homeowners. If you don't do anything differently, you're not going to just get 5 times revenue. The revenue is going to go down for each unit until you start to grow the eyeballs. You got to get more people looking at the inventory.
Love it.
So speaking of revenue, do you think that property managers or co-hosts should be focusing on like ancillary revenue, like early check-ins, late checkouts, damage
Yeah.
waivers, travel insurance, like those kinds of things to get more money in their pocket?
There are property managers that think no, but I think yes. And the way I look at it is that every one of those things has a value. Early check-ins, orphan nights, in other words, the night before they come is empty and giving it as a discount. Late checkouts, like I will pay for an early check-in or a late checkout anytime because that has value to me. And I think that anytime there's value to be had, you're not just looking for a buck, you're looking to give additional value. That includes travel insurance, damage waivers. I think those things all have values for the right customer. So I would say, yeah, you should be looking at ancillary. And we're in a really good, unique situation to be able to do that, because part of the reason that people stay in vacation rentals is for the experience. So what other things, like I think it's called Hostco, I think is the name of
Host
it.
store, yeah, I have one of those for every listing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Great example of a way to make a better experience for the guest. And a better experience is going to get better reviews. It's like this big circle
Yeah.
of, the more engaged and connected the guest can feel to you and to what you do for them, the better your review is going to be. And the more when there is a problem, the more you can recover from those problems because you've deposited into that connection bank.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy to me that people don't use that, like Hostco stores or Viator store or whatever. It's like it costs you nothing and it just sits there. And then if somebody buys something, you make money. It's like not rocket science, right? It's like, and sometimes people are willing to pay like for crazy stuff. Like I had a house where somebody booked like 6 in-house massages, and it was like she paid like $1,000 or something.
Yeah.
I made like $100, but I'm like, for what? I didn't do anything. Like I
Yeah.
didn't have to approve it. I just got an email saying, hey, congratulations, you're getting $100. I'm like, oh, cool.
Well,
So
and
it's
in
like,
some scenarios, that commission could be more than what you actually earned on the rental.
yeah, right. And yeah, depending on what they buy.
Yeah.
Even like the same thing with like, people who are doing the Minoan thing where it's like, oh, do you want to buy this bed or whatnot? But it's like, yeah, it's crazy. And I think people sleep on lots of different things. Like if you buy stuff from Amazon at your property, like say mattress or something, you need to get an Amazon affiliate. Somebody asks you what the mattress is, send an Amazon affiliate link for that. If they decide to buy that, you're making money. It's like, I mean, there's so many ways to get easy money, right? So, or make more money. And I think that people don't think about it that way. And I don't know if it's like laziness or they're just like worried about it or if they think it's another thing to manage. But I think like 95% of the things to make extra money, like you were pretty much saying, like can be either automated with AI or take zero time, right? It
Yeah.
takes the
There's
initial stuff.
there's another company called Epicurate that does like local, um, whether it's ski chalet or ski chalets will deliver all of your skis and stuff to your place, or it's I'm thinking about a client that I have that's in Park City, and Epicurate does chefs, local chefs. They do grocery delivery, and Abode does, and she says this publicly, so it's okay for me to say, but she does something like over $2 million a year in ancillary revenue.
Yeah, Rachel was on our podcast too, and I think the number was higher at that point. It was a lot. They're. I'm like, me and Austin both sat here with our mouths open, like, what?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and I'll
you're
publicly
selling
say
that
that I'm
much?
modeling. Yeah, I could publicly say that I'm literally modeling our business off of whatever Rachel's doing. Like that's
We
she's
all
like,
wish that we were Rachel.
yeah, I mean, she has the
Yeah.
like I just love her brand, everything. Like she's just built the coolest brand with the most boutique luxury feel, and I don't know. She's just I that's how I'm trying to go that route. I'm trying to follow in her
She's a
footsteps.
rock star for sure, and that's
Yeah.
episode
I'm
77.
I'm doing an episode with her on my guestie webinar next Thursday, and we're doing kind of like what we're doing here, and we're just talking about stuff that Rachel's doing or not doing and what she thinks about things, and it's just going to be kind of a fireside Michelle and Rachel, because Michelle and Rachel can get on the phone and talk for hours anyways.
Yeah, yeah, Rachel kicks ass, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
she does kick ass.
Yeah. And that's episode 77. And you know what? You kicked ass today too, Michelle. You
Oh,
did
thank
a
you.
great. I think you dropped so much stuff people are just sleeping on and they're just not. I don't know. It's time to get serious, folks. It's time to get serious with your business if you want it to be a business.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I personally thank you for your time. I know Austin thanks you for your time. If you want to let everybody know where to find you, follow you, or anything else you want to share with us.
Yeah. Well, I'm on LinkedIn, so you can follow me there. I also have a website called the marquiseffect.com. And so that would be another place to follow me. And, I'm, um, you know, those are probably be the two things. I do have webinars, standing webinars monthly that I do with Guesty, and we do a variety of topics. Next month, I think we're doing, top KPIs. I don't know if it's okay to promote other webinars while I'm on your webinar, but added value all the time, right?
It's whatever.
Yeah. No, we don't have any sponsors, so you can say whatever you want, and yeah.
Yeah, and use the code. I'm just kidding. But yeah, but
Hey,
no,
and I'd be happy when you guys get this uploaded. I'll be happy to share it on LinkedIn as well, so maybe you can get some more followers.
Love it.
there you go. I'm on LinkedIn. I just never use it. Austin just tags me and stuff all the time, and I rarely get on it. And I'm like, oh, like 47 people want to connect with me. Cool. I'm old school. I'm a Facebook guy. I can't. I don't know. I just can't do it. So I try, but
Yeah. Well, you
yeah.
got Austin looking out for you if there's anything important.
Yeah, Austin will handle the LinkedIn responses for me. He's my AI agent.
Good, good.
Awesome.
Well,
Great,
thank you for
Michelle.
having me. That was fun.
Yeah, it was fun, and thank you so much. And hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and you guys like and share and review and follow and all that good stuff. And with that, I'll let Austin, say his one word show.
All righty. Well, thank y'all for listening. Peace.